Hello friends, so in the last few videos of JMeter, we learned how we can record scripts using Firefox and Chrome Blaze Meter. Then we learned about thread count, how we can run that script with multiple users. And now in this video, we will learn about reporting. So in this video, we will be focusing on two reports, that is view results tree and aggregate report. So, as we know, we have for reporting, as we have seen in the last video, we have to right click on thread group, add listener, and from here you can select view results tree. And for aggregate report, this is the third option. So this is the same script that we have seen in previous video. This is the one that we have recorded using Chrome. So let me run it and see how we can analyze the results using reports. So click on this run button. Wait, let me first run it with one user. Ramp up time we can take as one. So for knowing about these fields, you can refer to my previous video. Now let's run it with one user first. So I clicked on run button and this is how it is working. I think the last results were not cleared. It is still running 5 times. Let me stop it using the stop button and then click on this icon. This is the one. So it cleared all the results. Now, as you can see, my thread group has, okay, it was not saved. The number of users, I will keep it as one, and ramp up period also, I will keep it as one. Let's click on save button. Now click on run button. So let's now we have ran it, so you can see that these are the APIs that we have called. In this, you can see, like if you have referred to my last videos, we have recorded this script. We went to the registered page, then table, then there was an alert, then we again went back to registered page, then YouTube, then we clicked on index.html and then refresh that page. So index.html was called again. So these are all the APIs that we, you know, um, navigated to, like all the pages that we navigated to uh, hit these APIs. So in the result tree also, when the script is ran again, all these APIs are recorded. So you can see, like if I click on the first API, there is one sampler result. Here you can see if the API is passed or not. Okay. So with one user, everything is working correctly. So if we want to analyze it with 5 users, let's see if all the APIs are passing or not. I have saved it. First, I will clear the reports. Then I will click on run button. So as you can see, this register API is called 5 times now because I'm running it with 5 users. So each user is calling each API, right? So one user is calling this and there are 5 users, so 5 times it will be called. So even with the load, you can see it's a green tick. All the APIs are passing, and in the result, you have to see the response code is 200. 200 is a success status code. So that means it is working correctly and response message is okay. And then there are few other information like load time, connect time, latency, size, how much is the size, sent bytes, how much you sent, how much this API sent. So all this information can also be seen in the sampler result. But like here 200 just indicates that the request was successful. The API does not have any protocol level errors, but there could be case that functionally it is not working correctly. So even after the response code is 200, you must check the request and response tab. So in the request, you can see what was sent, what was the request. So this is the API that we called, and no cookies were used, and there's no get data. And these are the headers. This was the request body, and these are the headers. So this is part of request. And in the response, you can see what you received. So in the response, you can see there is an HTML page that we received, which has some drop down and various other functions that we saw in our previous video, how the page looks like. So we have received the page correctly. There could be scenario where the register.html is giving 200 status code only, but we are not receiving the desired response. So in that case, you see if functional wise it is working correctly or not, or if the expected page is not showing. The API is working correctly, but you are not getting the expected page. So you must check the response body to verify, to confirm that the API is working correctly. So in our case, we are getting the desired page, the country and everything is there. So it's working correctly, and the response header, we are getting all the header related information. So for each API, for each request, we have all these information. So this is about view results tree. This is how you can check and analyze the results for view results tree. And the another one is aggregate report. So here also we have list of all the APIs that were recorded. As you can see, register.html, web table, alerts. Uh, since registered API was called twice, it is only showing once. It won't show it twice. And then YouTube index. Okay, so these APIs, these are the individual APIs that were being recorded. Test is just the test folder where all the APIs are present. So what is samples? Samples means how many times this request was made. How many, if it is, if for example, register is called when you click on the register button. So in the recording, how many times the user clicked on the register button? Suppose if user clicked on the register button 10 times. Okay, and this register.html API was called 10 times. So samples will be 10 times. So we know that we have ran it with 5 users, right? So register API is called 5 times for sure because each user is calling it. But we are seeing that register API was recorded twice. We went back to register page again. So there are 2 times it was called. And so one user is calling register API 2 times. So 5 users will be calling it 10 times. So the register API is called 10 times. So, and again, this web table is called 5 times because there are 5 users. Alerts is called 5 times. YouTube is called 5 times. And index, as you can see, that this is called twice by each user. So that's why it is called 10 times. Okay. So number of users which hit that specific request. Sample is number of users, or you can say how many times this request was called. Okay. So in total, it was called 40 times. Okay. Here it is 40 because this test is actually a transaction controller. We will learn about this concept later. But for now, we can remove this folder or we can just disable it. And now it's just the API. Is there, if I can also remove it. Let's just remove it. The entire thing is removed. Let me open this again. So for now, I will have to put each request under thread group then, which will take time. I will have to redo this thing. So for now, I will just disable it. Okay, so now we just have the APIs. So let me save it and let me clean the results and let's rerun it with 5 users. We have already learned about view results tree and you know how to analyze your request using result request and response data. Now in the we were talking about the aggregate report. So now let's get it completed. Okay. As you can see, the play button came again. So that means our test has successfully executed. Now, as we explained earlier, so this is 5, this is 10 because these APIs are hit twice. So now the total samples is 35. So this is what, how many times that request was called or how many users you can say. Okay, now the average. What is average? It is the average time taken by all these samples. So the average time taken by 5 samples is 145. So as you know how we calculate the average. So suppose, let me open notes. So suppose my first user took 12 milliseconds. My second user took 15 milliseconds. Um, let's take it for API, this one, the first API, web table. So for first user, it took around 12 milliseconds for the page to appear. Second user, it took around 15 milliseconds. And for third user, it took around um, 30 milliseconds. So to find out the average, what we do is we add all this 12 plus 15 plus 30 and divide by total number of samples. So in my case, there are 3 users. So the result of this will be our average. Okay. So this is how we calculate the average. So here we have 5 users. So what here they did is each user they summed the time taken by each user divided by 5. So this is the average. So average it took 145 milliseconds for this web table page to appear for this API to get this API took around 145 milliseconds. Okay, so this is our average. Now if we talk about minimum. So, minimum is like if we see our previous example, there are 3 users. First user took 12, second 15, and third took 30 milliseconds. So, what was the minimum time it took for the page to appear? So, for the first user, it appeared within 12 milliseconds only. So, that is minimum. So, average time is 145 milliseconds for this API to execute, but the minimum time there was one user for which this page appeared within 108 millisecond only. Okay. And maximum is like maximum here it took for third user it took around 30 milliseconds. So in this case for 5 users the maximum time that was taken for this page to appear was 253 milliseconds. Okay. Now, if we see about this one error percentage, it's 0. We did not encounter any error. As you can see in the view results tree as well, everything was green. Everything we got success status code. So there was no error, hence the error percentage is 0. Now this one after error percentage, this is a very important factor, which is our throughput. Okay. So this signifies that how much request can be processed per unit time, per second or per minute, how much request can be processed. Basically, it is like it tells you like the server capacity, capabilities, how capable the server is. So if we are hitting this API with 5 users, so that means throughput tells us that per second this the 4.8 uh, users can be processed. In 1 second, this API can process 4.8 users. Okay. So that's why our throughput is 4.8 second. For example, here it says like for register API with 10 users, if we are hitting this API with 10 users, our server capability is to process in a minute, it can process around 37 requests. So it can in 1 minute, 37 users can hit this API successfully. That is our server capability. This is the stamina of your server. Okay. So in this, if you see 1.8 per second, in this is to our total. This is 1.1 per second. So with 10 users, index.html can accept 1.1 user per second. Okay. So with 10 users, with 10 users of load, our throughput is 1.1 per second for index.html API. So this is how you can tell how the server is behaving, how much it can process per unit of time. Then what is 90% line? We have covered all these columns. So this 90% line is like how much 90% users are getting response, like how much time it is taking for 90% users to get response. Okay, so it means 90% users out of 5 users will not take more than 127 milliseconds. Okay, so 90% users are getting response within 127 milliseconds. Similarly, 95% line means 95% of users, if the load is 5 users. Okay, so 95% of users out of 5 users are getting response within 253 milliseconds. So you see, only 5% users might take more than 253 milliseconds, but 95% of users out of 5 users will get response within 253 milliseconds. They will not 95% of users have not taken more than 253 milliseconds. And if you talk about 90% users out of 5 users have not taken more than 127 milliseconds. So if you see this one register.html, there are 10 users. So 90% users means 9 users have not taken more than 65 milliseconds, and 95% line. Okay, so 9.5 users have not taken more than 65 milliseconds. Okay, and similarly, 99 means 99% users have not taken more than 70 milliseconds. I hope you understood this concept. So this is like you just talk about, yeah, like like 90% users will not take more than 1 minute for the page to appear. Maybe there are 10% users that are for them it is taking longer for the page to appear, but for it is working correctly for 90% of users. So this is what it indicates: 90% line, 95% line, and 99% line. Then we are left with median. Median is like it is like 50% of users. How much time it is taking for 50% of users. So, for example, our response time is 50, 60, 70, 80, and 5,000. Okay. So here our median will be 70. And our average, if you calculate, let's keep this 80. And average will be around 1052 milliseconds, and this is median. So median indicates that 50% users have not taken more than 70 milliseconds. So 50% of users have got the response within 70 milliseconds. And this, as we have discussed earlier, this is the average time took by number of users. For example, if there are 20 users took average of 1052 millisecond, and median will be 50%. That is 10 users have took around 70 milliseconds to get the response. So 10 users have taken around 70 milliseconds and 20 users have taken around 1052 milliseconds. But if you see, like, some in this case where one request is very slow, like for example here the request is 5,000. Okay, it took around 5,000 milliseconds. So this might be due to a network glitch or slow internet. So that then the average says 1052 because it summed all of them and then divided it by 5, which is not correct. It was just the case with one user where the request took too long. So in such cases where there are spikes, where there are issues of slow internet for few users, you can go with median, because median correctly indicate that it is like 70 milliseconds. The request will take around 70 milliseconds. So median is for 50% of users. Okay. And then we have the last two, which is um received KB per second. Okay. So this is like average amount of data JMeter receives from the server. It includes your um, response header and response body. So higher this value means you received a lot of data from the server. Uh, and or it can also indicate high traffic. You are getting lot of users, so that's why the received kb per second is high. And send kb per second is how much data you are sending to the server, average amount of data that you are sending to the server. Suppose there are 5 users, five each user is sending um 5 kb per second. So then it is like 25, you submit and divided by number of samples. So that's how you calculate that. And 2.87 is not that much. So these are simple requests. Hence, you are not sending that much data. But suppose if you are uploading an image or your JSON is too large, then this value will be higher. So this is how you analyze aggregate report. I hope you understood it. And if you have any doubt, then let me know. I will try to resolve it in the comment section. If you like this video, then please make sure to subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in my next video. Thank you for watching.